See, there's so many problems.
Okay, so I think we're live.
Yay!
We'll just wait for people to join, and maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll start.
Sure. Let me know. I've installed 3 screens to be able to see the streaming and the slides. So if ever a question pops up, I'll be able to see it.
Wait,
And one from my notes, obviously.
I think people are joining, so I think we can just start. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to our AUI Alumni Tech Talk. For those who do not know, AUI Alumni Tech Talks are a series of webinars organized by the School of Science and Engineering at AUI in collaboration with IEEE Women in Engineering and Arab Women in Computing. So every Friday we organize a talk brought by AUI alumni and working in the tech field. And each week it's a different topic. And today it will be about Agile. And our keynote speaker, we're honored to welcome Miss Sawssan Taha as our keynote speaker today. She will walk us through the concept of Agile, its explanation by the book, and the difference between doing Agile and being Agile. Miss Sawssan Taha is an AUI alumna. She graduated from AUI with a combined Bachelor in Computer Science, Master in Computer Networks in 2006. And she is an Agile coach and certified Scrum Master. So Miss Sawssan Taha, thank you for accepting our invitation. And we really appreciate having you here. And with no further ado, I will leave the floor to Miss Sawssan for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honestly honored for the opportunity. A little stressed. I'm going to say this for my first webinar. I've been bugging Rita all week long and Huda for me being stressed. What time is it? When is it supposed to be? So bear with me. This is my first. I'll try my best to not speak too fast. If you have any issue understanding me or understanding the content, or if I'm going too fast, please do say so. I have a screen that shows the streaming, so I'll be watching the comments. So as Rita said, today we'll be talking about doing Agile versus being Agile. If you have knowledge about Agile, this is probably going to be easier. If you don't, I give a couple of informations, nothing too deep into the knowledge of the practices, but we'll go through it and you'll tell me how we're doing. So before we jump in, I'd like to get to know you guys. Who you are. So where's your location? What's your role job today? If you ever heard of Agile, et cetera, et cetera. So for that, I set up a Slido questionnaire, quiz or poll. And I'd love to know where you guys are connecting from today. So you can either scan the QR code or johnslido.com and enter the code. And then you just click away. That'll help me know who's on the other side of the camera for me, who's on the other side of the screen. And if you're in Antarctica, we definitely need to talk, by the way. Never been there, so I'd love to know. Rita, how many people do we have so far that are connected? Just so that I know to wait.
I was muted. I think so far 18.
Okay, great. 6 people have answered so far. No, seriously, Antarctica, we need to talk, huh? Well, we need to chat after the the whole presentation webinar thing. Okay, so Africa, the Americas, Europe, Asia, Australia, not yet. Okay, cool. 10 people so far answered. Interesting. I'm really, really humbled that so many people are connecting. I didn't fathom the fact that this could actually happen. So I'm excited and stressed at the same time. Okay. Second question for you guys. What is your current job or role? Analysts, a lot of analysts. Okay. A master's student? Good. Fresh graduate, congratulations. Not necessarily a good timing to graduate, but congratulations. Manager, okay. Customer success manager, that's interesting. Unemployed, agile coach. Now I have the pressure. There's an agile coach in the audience. Sales support. All right. CTO. More pressure. Agile coach. Head of IT business management. Pretty impressive. Okay. Scrum master. Interesting. Various. Okay. Thank you for taking time. One more question. So for the coaches, I assume you have, but for the rest, have you ever heard of Agile? Most of you have. Little haven't. All right. I'm going to try my best to be clear in explaining what I'm getting to. So, as Rita said, my name is Sawssan. Pleased to meet you. I am a graduate from AY, my alma mater. I graduated in 2006 with a combined bachelor's and master's in computer network. I went on to carry the same subject in another master's in computer security, and then gradually moved on to the dark side to work with people instead of computers and people instead of networks. My journey with Agile started in 2009 or 10. I was part of an Agile team, but had no idea what it was. So coming from what we used to call the V-cycle or the waterfall, getting into Agile without knowing what it was and what we were supposed to do, my first reaction was a little bit of not blocking, but not welcoming it completely. And then we started working with it, and I actually got to like it and like the concept and like the mindset. So I dug a little deeper, discovered a lot of things, and then decided to make it my journey. Today, I am an Agile coach and a safe program consultant at Amadeus here in France. I've been in the past a Scrum Master. I've been a product owner. I've been a team member. I've been a Kanban facilitator. So I've done a little bit of everything in the frameworks that people probably know of. And then I chose to move to helping people understand a little bit more and walk with them through their transformational journey towards either scaled agile or regular team-based agile. I was told that starting with a quote would be a good thing, positive quote. So there's this guy, Alistair Cockburn. He's one of the people that wrote the manifesto, very well known in the agile realm. He said agile is an attitude, not a technique with boundaries. An attitude has no boundaries, so we wouldn't ask, can I use agile here? But rather, how would I act in the agile way here? Or how agile can we be in this situation? And this is precisely what I will try to get to as we walk through the slide set. My objective here, and this is a total disclaimer, I'm not here to give answers or absolute truths. I am here to kick a few stones over and see what's beneath. Eventually pick your curiosity and maybe give you the motivation to look deeper into why you're doing Agile today, or why are you considering doing Agile now or later, or maybe never. The word that keeps on repeating in my text is why. So we'll look at the why. I'll give a quick introduction of a guy named Simon Sinek who's really, really worth getting to know. One of my second objectives is to pick your brain, not literally, figuratively. Try to pick your curiosity. And then discuss the being versus doing, or doing versus being, and in the time left, discuss and share, because I'm here to share my point of view, but I'd also love to get yours and get your feedback. So with no further ado, let me introduce you to Mr. Simon Sinek. If you've never heard of Simon Sinek, then you've probably never necessarily heard of the Golden Circle. So for those who don't know Simon Sinek, he's often described as an optimist. He's also a very well-known best-selling author who wrote a book entitled Start With Why. The why for this guy was born out of a time in his life, something like probably 10 years ago, when he lost the passion for what he was doing. He owned his business. He was living the American dream, having the time of his life. And superficially, his life was actually fantastic. Yet he didn't want to wake up every morning and do it again. So he went through a little depression, a lot of thinking, and a lot of moral support. They got him to take basically a step back and realize that every single organization on the planet, even our own career paths, function on the same 3 levels. One is what we do and what we're good at. So basically the products we're selling, or the services that we offer. The second layer is the how. How do we do it? What are the tools that we use? What sets us apart from the competition that actually exists? And the third layer, or actually in this case, the first layer, the inner layer, is the why. It's why we do what we do. What's the motivation? What makes us wake up in the morning and say, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. It's at the core of everything that we do, basically. Very few organizations or individuals know their why. Making money isn't one. It's a result. Why is a purpose? It's a cause or a belief. So if you do not have or a why, or if you lose track of it, you lose you and the purpose for which you're doing your work, and you lose the passion and the drive and the motivation. So his go at it is start with asking yourself why. And my go at it is, well, it's pretty much the same thing for Agile. We need to figure out why we're doing it. The practices are one thing. The tools are as well. What is the service and what does Agile do, what it is good at? So we know it's cost reduction, maybe a faster time to market, having motivated teams that are autonomous and self-organized, and a better, spoiler, and a better adaptation to incoming change. This is what Agile helps us tackle. What Agile helps us tackle. The how are the tools that we use in Agile. Scrum, Kanban are tools. They're frameworks, but they're the tools that we use. Time box, short iterations, the fact that we value individuals and interactions first. These are the tools and the principles that we use when we do Agile. And the why is the key to why are we doing Agile? Why are we moving to Agile? What's the purpose? What's the drive? The question here is that, or the situation here is that individuals and organizations need to adapt and adopt a new mindset if they want to succeed in the face of uncertainty. And this is what my little man shows from drawing from two of yours. In the middle here, let me get my laser. In the middle here is the what, the branches or the arms of my Shiva-like little man are the how, circles. But the main reason why is that we have the right mindset that enables us to see that we need to adapt. We need to adopt new principles, new behaviors, new practices, new ways of thinking to actually change the situation that we're in and adapt easily to the context or ever-changing context. How do we do that? Well, we do it by doing Scrum or applying Kanban or applying some of the practices that are based on Agile. And what it does to us, well, it does what we just said. It does bring cost reduction. It does bring team motivation and drive. It does bring welcoming change and adaptation, a faster time to market that's important to organizations. So if we look deeper into these three elements, and again, I'm starting outside in instead of inside out. So if we look at the what, this is what we just described. This is what everybody talks about when we talk about the benefits of Agile, or what are the services that Agile provides when we implement it. Enhanced quality. These are based on a website that's called MindCypress, and the title is Benefits of Agile Training and Best Courses. So most of the companies, when you ask them, what did it bring to you? What services did it render to you and your company? Well, it helped us keep a continuous engagement towards our clients. Our clients are happier today. They have a better experience. It's transparent. We have a faster time to market. We have an enhanced quality of the work that we're doing. Predictability is pretty clear, and things are working better. Okay, so how do you do that? What are the tools that you use? For those who don't necessarily know Agile, when we start talking about it, we talk about a couple of things. The first thing is the manifesto. This is the part that you see here. The manifesto states that it's the values of Agile. The manifesto states that individuals or interactions are more valuable than processes and tools. So we value the people that are working on our product or our project or working with us and the interactions that we have with them over all the processes that we have probably described in a huge book or a huge documentation and the tools that we use. Working software over comprehensive documentation. The primary measure of success is a working software. But here it says software. It could be just product in general terms. A working product is what shows that we're moving forward. It doesn't mean that documentation is not necessary or we just drop it It just means that we give more value to working software. If documentation makes sense, if it brings value, then let's do this. The third value is customer collaboration. Whatever we do, at the end of the day, what we built is going to our customer, our end user. So when you see that and you want your product to bring value, well, you need to work with your customer. You need to collaborate with your customer. You need to get the feedback of your customer over contract negotiation. Again, it doesn't say don't have a contract or don't write a contract. It says we give more value to this collaboration with the customer because as we go, he or she knows best or they know best what they need and what brings them value. So as we work and deliver this product and get their feedback, we'll know better what works for them and hence might be able to pivot easier towards what it is that's going to make the difference and bring them this value. Responding to change over following a plan. COVID is the perfect example. When COVID came and struck, nobody knew that it would happen. Nobody knew what it would bring, and nobody knew how to react to it. So that was one hell of a change. And every organization tried their best, as much as they could, to tackle this change and respond to this change. Had they said, no, we don't care about COVID. We had a plan to do this, this, and that. Okay, but there's COVID. Now we don't care. That's sinking right in place. Instead, they took a step back, thought about it, and tried to adapt to this change in this situation. So again, what the manifesto says is the values, the values here to the left, we value both sides, left and right, but the values to the left are more important to us in an agile realm. So this is for the manifesto. The second thing that we usually talk about when we speak about agile is the comparison to waterfall, because it is one of the frameworks or one of the tools that we used. I see people that I know connecting. So one of the most used tools and one of the most used techniques when handling projects and doing project management, it was waterfall. So as you can see here, and this is a drawing that I don't own. I found it on YouTube. It's a very, very good video. I can give you the link later if you want. It explains Scrum in particular, Agile in general. So what it says here, basically, the idea behind it is that back when we were using waterfall, for some projects it still makes sense to use waterfall, don't get me wrong. But when we use waterfall back then, what we used to do is have specialized teams or specialized people for every subject. So we had requirement analysis done by a certain team, design done by another team, coding by a different team, integration, yet another team, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea here is that once the requirement was done, we just buckled it up, moved it to the next team, and went on to do something else. And same thing between design and code. I do the design, I move the things to you. There's no communication between these parts. So sometimes information might be left apart. We might lose things that were necessary to our customer or important to our customer, but from our point of view, it didn't necessarily make sense because once the requirements were set, we didn't really discuss or exchange or share with our customer or collaborate with our customer. And so at the end of the day, or the couple of years when the product was finally delivered, well, by then it didn't necessarily make sense to our customer because the context has changed, because we didn't speak for 4 years since the product had been launched in development, et cetera, et cetera. So it was not necessarily the best way to go about developing a project. And here comes Agile that says, okay, what do we want? Well, we want to be able to have customer feedback fast, to adapt to change, to be able to respond to this change. So what do we do? Well, we take all of these pieces of work together, the requirements, the design, the code, the testing, the deployment, all of it together, put it in a big shaker, and then do all of it in short iterations, one next to another. same length iterations, motivated people around these iterations, one person that's responsible for the, how can I put that, communication with our customer and prioritizing what needs to be done to bring the most value. So a person that is actually responsible for this value, for identifying the value and making the most out of what we do. The team that is responsible for designing and implementing this product, because they're the technical experts, so they know how to implement it. And then at the end of every iteration, we show our work. And the customer is then able to tell us, I am happy with what we've done, or, well, this is the way I saw it at first, but now that I see it, I think we could change some stuff to make it better or more valuable. So these are the main differences. So waterfall is one of the concepts or ways of working that we usually compare Agile to. And then last but not least, the frameworks. Today, if my memory serves me right, I think there are over 40 plus frameworks in Agile. The most known are Scrum, Kanban, and XP. XP being very, very technical and very, has a lot of rules. I think it has over 30 rules, 13, sorry. Kanban has less rules, probably has 3. And then it depends on what the team wants to put together for themselves. And then Scrum, which is the one that is most probably widely used. So now that we have the what and the how, oh wait, I almost forgot the 12 principles. Because Agile has 4 values and is anchored by 12 principles, which you'll see are a bit redundant with the text that I just gave you and the speech that I just gave you. So bear in mind, number 1, our highest priority is client satisfaction. We have to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. We welcome changing requirements, even late in the development. That's okay. If it doesn't make sense to the client, then it doesn't make sense to keep on developing it. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. What counts at the end of the day is that we deliver this value to our customer. We deliver working software or product frequently. Could go from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with obviously a preference for the shorter timescale to get faster feedback. Collaborate daily. We're here. Collaborate daily in terms of all the people involved in the creation of this product, be it business, operations, developers, testers, everybody that is working on this product has to collaborate daily. They must work together throughout the project. We build the project around motivated individuals. If people are not motivated, they're not going to work, or the work is not going to be great. They're going to come to the office and be like, okay, I don't want to do this, but hey, let's do it because that's what I'm paid for. We give these people environment and support they need. We trust them to get the job done. It's important to trust them. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a team is a face-to-face conversation. Yes, COVID has taken a toll on all of us, organizations. Meeting face-to-face is complicated. Well, then it depends on where you live. But in France today, it's complicated. So meeting face-to-face here can be translated to what we're doing right now, a visual conference or video conference. It's easier to grasp a couple of emotions and mimics here and there to understand how people are feeling with regards to what you're saying. So I'm not feeling much because I can only see my screen, but you guys will let me know later. But the important part is that you need to communicate face to face. Even if there's a screen in between the two, communicate. Our working software is the primary measure of progress. If it works, it means we're moving forward. If it works, but it means we're moving forward, but it needs improvement, modification, change. It depends on what the client wants. Agile processes, no matter what they are, all of them, they promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. They need to be able to work at a good pace. We don't want to burn these people by both ends. We don't want to burn them. We don't want to burn their motivation. We want people to be able to work at a sustainable pace. So no matter what the pace that we choose, it needs to be sustainable, it needs to be viable, and people need to feel comfortable with that pace. We pay continuous attention to technical excellence and good design because all of it enhances agility. Quality is built in. It's not something that we do after we start developing. It has to be taken in consideration when we think about the solution before implementing it. It's really, really important. Simplicity, that's the hardest thing. We need to keep it simple. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. We trusted them when we hired them. We trusted that they could do good work, that they have enough skills, or that they're eager to learn and grow, so we can trust them to self-organize. We don't have to tell them what to do and how to do it. And at regular intervals, the teams reflect on how to become more effective. Then they tune and adjust their behavior accordingly. And Agile, no matter the framework, offers ceremonies and opportunities for the teams to do that. It's important to see what we're doing right, what things can we improve, and put actions that will help us improve that. And so now with the why. That should be the first question before you do any type of Agile. Individuals and organizations, I said, need to adapt and adopt eventually a new mindset if they want to succeed. A mindset, per definition, is made up of thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, practices sometimes. We know, as is, or have been introduced to two types of mindsets that exist. The fixed one that you see here. So the fixed mindset is that of a person that says, I know what I know, and I use it every day to figure out my things. I came with these abilities, and that's it. So you either have it or you do not have it. And the main goal of this type of mindset is to look good and avoid challenges. The second type of mindset that we've heard about and have seen is the growth mindset. In this kind of mindset, people with this kind of mindset are learners by doing. They focus on improving how we do what we do by putting in work and effort. So they're pretty open-minded, but they know that they need to work. They settle that they need to work and put some effort if they want to grow and evolve. The truth is, both these are probably good, but not enough as is. Let me take the whole COVID situation. It's actually a pretty good example. All companies had to adapt to what the virus put us in. And obviously, the not so smart government plans to counter it, but that's another story. So no company in a fixed mindset would have been able to make it out of this thing alive. Growth mindset maybe, but fixed mindset, never. So individuals and organizations, they need to adapt and adopt new behaviors and potentially mindsets if they want to succeed in the face of uncertainty, whether they apply Agile practices or not. This is general. The third mindset that comes and that is a little less known is, where are you, my friend? The benefit mindset. There we go. So this one is basically the one where people show with an open heart. They're ready and willing to serve all for the better. In here, the all can mean your whole team or your whole organization. The combination of growth and benefit is what actually makes the Agile mindset. They take us into the why and the who. So the who we are, really, and why are we doing this? Why do we want to do Agile? What is it really that motivates us to do Agile? Not the money, not the benefits. That's some other thing. But really, we know that, for example, we have teams that are really good, but the current organization is not well structured enough. So maybe Agile can help. Let's try. But let's try it with the good mindset. Let's try it by empowering the people. Let's try it by trusting the people. Let's try it by putting together that good structure, trying and failing. Failing is okay, etc., etc. Are we following a trend, or is it really bringing value to do Agile? What is that value? This mindset is also participatory. It creates an environment for everyone's development in the organization, which is what usually Agile fosters. So basically, you can see it as a mindset of passion, purpose, but mostly respect. Putting the others first and paying it forward. So to the question, why Agile? Well, because we believe that collaborating teams are the world's best hope for solving the problems that we face. That with respect for these teams and with trust to these teams, we can do things. So let me pick your brain a little. What do you think makes you Agile? For those who were here where I sent, where I explained the first time, you could either use the QR code or join slido.com and type in the code. So what do you think makes you Agile? As a person or as an organization? Okay. Flexible, quick, rapid. Okay, we still come back. Often. Open to change. All right, goes with the flexibility. Okay. Adapting. Yeah, adapting to changes, accepting the change. This comes back often. Mindset. Thank you. Okay. Open to change. Process. All right. Any more answers? Holistic view. Yes. Open communication. Okay. Funny that the word cloud put mindset in the middle as the biggest one. I have nothing to do with it. My hands are not tied, but that's not me. Open communication. Open to change. Transparent. T-shape. Okay. Collaborative. Yes. Okay. Rita, how are we doing time-wise? Should I speed up a little?
I think we're fine. It depends on how much left, how much slice left, but I think we're fine.
Okay.
It's been 38 minutes.
Okay.
And if we take off the introduction, it's 30.
Okay. Cool. New era, tech. Thank you, Rita. COVID. COVID makes you agile? Yeah. COVID had us adapt big time. Agile or not, it did have us adapt. Okay. Thank you for your feedback. Actually, this was my cue to actually move into doing agile versus being agile. So when we talk about doing agile, it's obviously all the practices, right? So whether we're doing Scrum or Kanban, or we're doing our stand-ups and short iterations, and we're improving the visibility and having transparency, as you said, our clients fast feedback and they're happy, etc. But being agile, and weirdly enough, the word cloud did that for me. I don't know why, but I like it. Being agile is really about the mindset. It's another thing. It's that answer to the why in our golden circle, or in our little man with the glasses circle. Being agile is about the mindset. So it's about the purpose, why we're doing it, and the people. It's trust and transparency. Again, part of the mindset. You trust the people to do the good work. You're transparent about what's happening, and so are they, because they feel trusted and they feel comfortable to actually be that transparent. We talk about relentless improvement. It becomes in our DNA. We think small, well, not smaller, but simple, which I said earlier, it's one of the most complicated things to be able to reach at some point. We collaborate, but as in really collaborate all together, no matter the hierarchy, no matter the rank, no matter the team or the specialization, we collaborate. We go by the belief that failure is okay. This is why we emphasize on the fact that we want to work on having fast feedback. If we fail, it's okay. We know that we failed, but we failed fast. So we learned from it, and now we won't do it again. Because we figured out what the root cause for that failure was. I'm not talking about band-aids. I'm talking about really investigating the root cause, figuring out why we failed, and then learning from it and not doing it again. I remember at some point in one of the teams I was working in Orange, we had an oops wall. So we had a big poster, and it was all the oopses that we had with the team. We had back then reached a level where we could tell each other everything, and it was really transparent, and the work was good. And we had that oops wall. So it helped people that made the mistake for the first time know that, okay, this happened before. So maybe I should go talk to that person that had that oops, and that would help me figure out where I went wrong. And it was fine. The mindset was there. We weren't in that mindset where we tried to find who the responsible is. You were trying to find what the problem was and how can we fix it? Because that's what we do. We look for where to get the value from. Finding the responsible is not going to get you the value, and it's not going to fix the problem. So doing is, again, practices, and then being is mindset. What happens if we keep on doing without being agile for the long run? Or what happens if we keep on being? And obviously when you are, you do, but you do it for the right reasons. So what's the long-term effect? Well, if you keep doing without necessarily being, you fall in the trap of what we call the cargo cult. I don't know if you guys have heard the cargo cult before. I think it was in the Second World War. Islands that were pretty apart from what was happening. They had cargoes because they had military there. They had cargoes coming to the island. They had set up a how can I put that? Like in the airports, you have the the lights that show the way for the plane to land. I don't know what the technical word for it is. A landing something. So they had that was set. So the cargo plane could see from afar where it should land, and it would just, you had that guy that had his big earphones to protect his ears, the lights to direct the cargo, and then they would show where the goods should land, where they should be dropped. After World War II was done, obviously the troops and the military and everybody left. So the people that were there were left with probably no goods, but nobody told them that people left. So they were still expecting the cargo to come, but they saw that the cargo was not coming and they had no goods. So what they did is tarmac. Thank you, Mohammed. That one. So what they did is that they took coconuts, put them on their ears, lit fire on 2 sticks, stood in the tarmac, and tried to, play with the lights, see if any cargo would come. But that didn't bring anyone, and they didn't get any food, anything. They didn't know why the guys were doing that. They just thought that by doing it, they would get the food. So they did it, but they didn't have the why. And the problem with doing without knowing why is falling into this cargo cult. We're just doing it for doing it. We're doing Agile. Don't worry. And the problem with that is that Agile becomes a burden. Scrum, Kanban, whatever it is, it becomes a burden. People hate it. They hate coming to work. So we kill the motivation of the teams. And they just do the work because they have to do the work. So we give up on quality, and we give up on innovation. We give up on people. And we start doing Scrum but, or zombie Scrum. Yeah, let's do Scrum. Or the Scrum but is, yeah, we're doing Scrum, but the manager decides the priorities. But don't you have a PO? Yeah, we do, but the manager decides on the priority. Okay, all right. So we do Scrum, but now we decide that dailies were overrated, so we're not doing them anymore. And we don't need that. Okay, so this is Scrum but we don't, we're not digging deeper to see what was the use of it, what was value of that ceremony or of that artifact or whatnot. We just did it because it was in the to-do list, and that's it. When you keep on being, you get to a point where you've been using that framework for so long with the right mindset that you know what will bring you value. So you customize and personalize your framework. It becomes yours. You know where there is value and where there is not. So you customize it to fit you. There operates a huge culture change, but within all layers of your organization, all layers of your company, you reach an organizational alignment. Everybody is within the same mindset. Everybody believes in the same concepts, principles. So we're all aligned, and that's marvelous. Haven't reached that yet. I'll tell you when I do, but sounds perfect. People start having fun at work. They come motivated. Everybody's on the same level of understanding, of motivation. So yay for work. They become more motivated. And by doing what we're doing and doing it right with the right mindset, well, we still have time for innovation and creativity. And that's a gem. If you guys manage to have time for that and leave people do this part of innovation and just raw their creativity, it's heaven. Yeah, something close to that. So how about you guys? In your current organizations, in your current work, if you're doing Agile or implementing Agile or being Agile, what is it that you're doing? Do you think you're being Agile or doing Agile? Tell me. Be honest. I won't know who answered what, so I won't be able to come back and haunt you for not being or for just doing. Okay. Starting to get answers. When I reach 10, I'll move to the next slide so it shows me how many are being and how many are doing.
I think it doesn't actually, when we try the quiz, it doesn't actually show where to vote. We only have join the quiz, your name. Yeah. Maybe we need to join first with our name.
How about now? Is it working?
Yes, I think we had.
Thank you. So five people answered today.
Yes, yeah. I think it shows that the voting is closed.
Oh, let me go back to it. Not touching anymore. Better. People can vote now. Oh, says voting closed for Andy. Oh, can you try again, Andy? Please tell me if it works now. It shows 12 people have been able to connect. Ah, great. Thank you. All right, so we've got 12 people answered so far. So we'll look at the results. All right, let's look at the results. Okay. Thank you for your honest answers. I appreciate that. I really do. So there's more people doing Agile than being Agile. It's true. It's what happens when you don't necessarily know why you're doing it, but and most of what I've seen is that a lot of people are doing Agile, not necessarily answering the why we're doing it, or probably because it's a trend, or the other organization told us that it worked, so maybe it would work for me too. Okay. Thank you for your answers. Thanks a lot. This is for the number of countries out here. It comes from the 14th annual State of Agile report for 2020. The 15th one for 2021 is still ongoing. So you can see here that there are a lot of challenges when adopting Agile, or adopting it the right way. The top 3 responses cited as challenges or barriers are scaling, the fact that internal culture remains an obstacle for success in many organizations. So you might have in the whole organization one team or one business unit that decides to move to Agile or adopt Agile, but the rest of the company does not follow. So the practices are good in that team, but not necessarily in the whole thing. Then it's followed by the lack of leadership participation. Kind of the same, but at a closer level. So maybe your team is fine with the agility, the mindset is there, but your manager, senior manager is not necessarily following up on the whole mindset part, which represents a barrier and a challenge. There's also the inconsistency across teams and their practices. It shows often that teams and organizations lack the why Agile when trying to put it in practice. Each believe that they have the knowledge and move forward with it without actually digging deeper as to where the benefit really is to the whole organization. And then there's the obvious lack of skills and experience, insufficient training and education, lack of customer availability, the minimal collaboration and knowledge sharing, et cetera, et cetera. But the big ones are the organization's resistance to change, the inconsistent practices amongst the teams, and the leadership not following up on the whole transformation or mindset. This is a glimpse of what I, as a coach, heard and seen that made me think that the why was not quite there. Lack of commitment from the executives, from the managers, etc. The fact that command and control has never really left the boat. So it's still there, bits and pieces of command and control. Stakeholders bypass the PO, or management bypasses the PO. So what they do is that they're just going to go to the teams and tell them, okay, I'm the stakeholder, I'm the manager, so I decide you do this because hierarchically I'm higher, so you do what I say. Yeah, Agile, don't worry, whatever, moving on. There's a change board that handles change management. Roadmaps are fixed for these dates by the CTO over a 2-year period. How do you know? I don't know. And you got sentences here and there from people that say so. Okay, so we train people so that they gain experience to be able to do Agile, but while they're on training, who's going to do the work? And I'm the manager, so I get the final decision. I know what the client wants. Don't worry. Roles and responsibilities. This one that says, okay, so it's okay, it's agile. Why do we need a product owner when we have a product manager? It's the same thing. Things like that tend to, when I first started as a coach, made my ears bleed. But then you realize that people need help and accompaniment, and you need to walk them through this journey and help them see what's happening and what's good and what's not. So one more question for you guys. In this case, what do you think we should do to improve situations like this, when we're not really being what we're doing? It's a word cloud. So any idea, any action, any team building exercises. Yes, this would help at team level. Show and lead so very much. Open people mindset to agility. If you have a key, call me after this. We need to talk to open people's minds. Remind people of the why. Yes. Yeah. I like the lead and show. Cookies, I used to do that. It helped at the beginning. Then they started to be fat and they hated me, so I didn't bring cookies anymore. Reintroduce the why of Agile. Yeah. Share your knowledge. Okay. Reintroduce the why. Start being Agile. Oh, yeah. Amen to that. I like your ideas very much. It's very inspiring. Leadership as role model. Absolutely. Absolutely. Refocus on the why. Remind people of the why. I'm glad the why stuck with you guys. I'm happy. Regular maturity assessment to define action plans. That too. That could help. Lead by example. Very important. Absolutely. Regular maturity assessments. If you guys have heard of SAFE, it's one of the scaling agile frameworks that we use. There are a lot of assessments that are put in place, offered by SAFE, to actually see how the teams, the trains, and all of it are doing. So yes, that's important. Share your knowledge, reintroduce the why, remind people of the why, refocus on the why, show lead, regular maturity assessment, leadership as well. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, one more? Yep, okay. Check with members of the team, especially those who are still doing. Yes, okay. But in here, maybe the team should be the organization. Oftentimes I find it, and that's my own experience, so it's worth what it's worth. Teams are easy to convince. It doesn't happen overnight, I'll give you that. But they're easier to convince than managers are, senior managers, sponsors, people that are higher in the hierarchy. Not because of a unwilling, but because that's how they've been taught to be from the beginning. So it's complicated to get them to change. But I absolutely love what you guys are suggesting, and I'm keeping those. So thank you very much for your feedback. I'll give you my 2 cents of what I think can be done. What I suggest, take it or leave it, internally promote understanding the customer's values. It'll help you orient your work, orient the way you implement things to better know what they're looking for. Apply system thinking, and I think somebody said it earlier in the comments. It's important to think as a whole, not only for yourself. I did my work, so we're done. It's really a team's work, an organization's work. So think as a system. Empower the people. Infuse the practices with the theory. Practices are good, but without the theory and without the mindset, they're worth nothing. Measure your progress. See how you're doing. Reevaluate it. Assess, as it said in the word cloud. Focus on value. Retrospect as often as you can. Link action to these retrospectives. Retrospect. Improve relentlessly. It's important to be good, better. Learn, train, innovate, ask the why. Remember to ask the why. Share and communicate the vision. All of these were phrased differently, but they were in your word cloud. And create value. Always value. Everything is centered around the value that you're going to bring your customer. Internally, demote. Fostering a culture of high utilization over quality. This means putting people at 100% of utilization. This is just going to kill them. But they're going to forget quality and just start implementing and doing and forgetting why they're doing it and what's the value behind it. So they're just going to leave quality aside because they have to implement fast. Sitting in your knowledge comfort zone. Comfort zone is never really a good idea. Go out, explore. It's okay. You'll be fine. Nothing will happen. Worst case, you'll fail. Learn from it. Bounce back. Being afraid of failure? Yeah. Don't be. It's all right. Communication latencies. Layers. Remember in the Shrek movie when he says, I have layers? Yeah. Layers are never really a good idea. Be transparent, as you said. And last but not least, and this is one of my favorites, hiring technical divas and rock stars. Bad idea. Very bad idea. In a sense that, let me be less extreme in my, no matter how good they are technically, if they have zero communication skills, zero team mindset, unless they're going to work alone and be doing something alone that doesn't impact anybody in the organization, then this person is not fit to work in an organization. And there's a wonderful book that is called, pardon my French, the no asshole theory. It basically says this: no matter how good technically the person is, no matter how experienced the person is, if they're not fit, if their soft skills are not good enough, then they're not good, or they're not fit to work in a team, and hence they're not fit to work with you in your organization. So these were my 2 cents. One more thing, and this is for some of the people, my alumni friends that are in the call. So remember that Agile is not a silver bullet. It does not answer all of your problems. It probably doesn't fit your product, probably doesn't fit your situation. Think about why before you dive into it. Agile that worked for me is probably not going to work for you. Me working in Scrum, because I thought about it, figured out a couple of things, asked the right questions, figured out my why, and thought, yeah, Scrum would do it. It's probably not going to work for you. You're probably better off with a Kanban. You never know. Ask why. Agile is all about engaged, committed, and motivated people. So it requires a culture of community and trust. If they trust, they'll have that load off their back and might be able to work completely freely and motivated. There's Edward Deming that said, a bad system will defeat a good person every time. No matter how good or motivated you are, if the system's rotten, you can do nothing. Be transparent so you can inspect closely in order to adapt meaningfully. Perfect is nothing but a verb. Better is more accurate. So try to be better. Provide learning opportunities and grow people. They're the ones that are going to take your organization to the next level. Learn and follow the rules, break them, and make your own. Understand why you're doing it. Learn these rules, try them out, see what fits your company, pick and choose. Why not? And then last but not least, it's from Linda Rising, and she has a wonderful video webinar that she gave. She says, if there's one thing that Agile brought to the table, is the realization that of how important the fluffy people stuff is and how we need to pay attention to it. These are the good readings that I suggest, only a couple of them. So Linda Rising, the last quote that I gave on the Agile Mindset. Robert Sutton, the book that I told you about, The No Asshole Rule, Building a Civilized Workplace and Surviving One That Isn't. It's pretty fun. Rachel Geddes, The Agile Mindset, Easier Said Than Done. Stephen Wolpers, Culture May Eat Agile for Breakfast. Alan Albert, Good Agile, Bad Agile, proving the value of Agile to a skeptical organization, and literally any Agile related Dilbert. It's a comic. And that's my cue. Thank you very much. I hope you had fun. And now it's your turn to pick my brain. So if you have any questions, I guess, well, Rita is our facilitator, so maybe you have seen questions that I haven't. But guys, please, if you do, turn your camera on so I can see you and have a sense of what that emotion is.
I think there only have been comments so far, no questions. So guys, you're welcome to ask your questions in the chat, and we'll be showing some unmissed and we'll be trying to answer them.
I see Mohammed says an organization that relies on heroes and divas is not a mature organization. That's what I would like to believe. But unfortunately, organizations don't all see that the same way. They think if they have those rock stars, they'll be able to implement crazy things. Unless you put them in a team, and that breaks the team apart. But yeah, so I agree with you, absolutely. God and support. Hi, Divina Gracia, glad you could join. Hey. What happens if your company tries to go back to waterfall for compliance reasons? What can you do to avoid that? Do you really need to avoid that? My question is actually, and again, sorry, but why are they moving back? Why did Agile not necessarily work? What were the compliance reasons? If you're able to say more, Faisal. Did you at some point think that Agile worked for you? Were there maybe measures that showed that Agile worked and the client was happy? Do you ever find an Agile organization having the Agile mindset? That's a tricky question. My boss is connected. I'm not answering that question. I'm joking. There were parts of the organization, not always all. It takes time to change organizations, mindsets, and cultures. It's, yeah, exactly as Mohammed is saying. The regulators, the organizations they have today that are working the way they are date from, I'm not going to say centuries because that would be exaggerated, but they date from long time ago, years, decades maybe. So coming in, looking at the way it works out and telling him Agile is the way to be is probably not the way to go about it. So we start small, maybe with teams wherever Agile fits, and we have that answer to the why, and Agile might be the answer then. So we implement it where we see fit. And in my current company, for example, right now, we have been leading a lot of safe transformations in a lot of business units. And business units are adopting Agile. Okay. We're doing okay. But we still have to reach higher. So everything from budget management, HR. HR has actually started, but yeah, budget management. But over all the organization, which is huge because the organization is over different continents and countries, so it's complicated to say we need to move the whole organization to Agile. It takes time. So I haven't, as of today, I haven't seen yet, or I'm yet to see one organization that's fully Agile from top to bottom. I'd love to see that. And if you have examples, please do send over. I love success stories. Yeah, I'm a sucker for success stories and chick flicks. That too. So Faisal, yeah, my answer to that would actually be, what were the reasons that we moved out of Agile? If they make sense, then maybe waterfall is the answer. Because I don't know the details, so I'm not able to answer you black or white. And if not, then maybe it's what Mohammed was saying, is that the regulators are not necessarily Agile, or the decision makers are not necessarily in the good mindset. So maybe Agile didn't work out for them, or they didn't see anything in it. So they decided, okay, flip back, change. Let's move back to what we were doing because that's what works for us. And it's complicated to convince a whole organization as one person. But maybe if you have, I was going to say KPIs, but measurements or proofs, concrete values that actually show that Agile did work for you, for your team, for your company, or might actually help the company do better, then maybe that could help, switch the balance. Any other practical tips to encourage doers, those who are still resistant to change, to move across? That's an interesting question. So, Divina Gracia, any other practical tips to encourage doers? What we did with other teams and other organizations is that we took him on what we call the Gemba walk. So we took him to see how teams for whom Agile worked out are doing today. Explained every bit and pieces, allowed them to actually have a heart-to-heart with these teams and these people, and the ones that were taking the PO roles and the Scrum Master roles and the team roles, to actually discuss, tell them how it worked out, what were the challenges that they faced early, what were the successes that they had, how they celebrate their successes, and what they ended up building, and the relationship that they built with their customers. When people see, they tend to believe more than when we tell them. So the Gemba walk did a good deal of convincing. And then we could also suggest to try it for a couple of sprints, maybe, see how it works out, if it's not too much of an impact. That would be my point of view. I also said difficult to explain in comment. Unfortunately, waterfall is not the answer. The decision makers try to protect as much their software that it went that way. I see. This is the situation, is that usually, that's what I was saying earlier. It's rarely, the difficulty is rarely, or the challenge is rarely with the teams. It's often higher. They need to see to believe. That's what I've seen. That's what I've experienced. They need to see to believe. So if you can make them see, maybe you can help. But they need, I'm not going to say they need coaching, but they need to see to believe. It's complicated to convince them. It's complicated to just go ahead and tell them, okay, we met our proofs, we're good. You should come. We should do Agile. We should be Agile. The change of mindset takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. Yeah, it's not a magic wand. It's not a magic one, unfortunately. Anytime. Any other questions, you guys?
I think there is no questions left.
Okay. I have one for you before we close the call, if you don't mind. I'd like your feedback on the time you've invested with me today on this webinar.
We actually have one last question.
Yes.
Just
what does an Agile coach usually do? It depends on the mission, actually. As an Agile coach, I've done team coaching. So it starts usually by going and meeting the team, trying to ask questions to see how they're doing, assess a little bit their situation, see what works and what is actually causing problems, what they have identified as being an issue, and retrospectives. Yeah, trying to get first their feedback and then making your own mind on what's working and what's not, what needs to be improved. Then discussing with them all what your conclusion was on their situation and trying to reorganize with them and maybe do workshops back when we were allowed to do workshops and be all together in one room to actually work on what they think is missing and then let that sit for a bit, retrospect on it afterwards and see if it worked or not. Put other things, amongst other things. Also worked with the managers of the teams as well. Sometimes what they've identified is that managers are really, really a little too present, or they don't know what to do with their roles when the team moves to Scrum or moves to a scaled Agile framework. So you work with them to reassure them a little bit. You're not losing your power as a manager. You're not losing your teams. It's just that your job now is a little different. Help them grow, help them develop, talk to them every now and then. You're a people's manager now. So try and put that to practice and help the people that are around you be better and be motivated and well in their actual spot. And as an SPC, I've also accompanied in the scaled Agile transformation for a couple of business units or teams, organizations, where we actually try and work through the why do they want to transform or move to SAFe or move to any other Agile framework, and what's their motivation, and how do they see that happen, and then try and see the configuration of the teams and people involved and how we're going to do that and what we're going to do. Do we need to hire people? So we as coaches, we accompany throughout the whole process by asking the right questions and trying to not necessarily give the right answers, but accompany people in seeing what is better and how to organize around it. I hope this helps and answers the question.
I think that's it. We don't have other questions. Thank you so much for your presentation and for this interesting talk, and thank you so much for your time.
One more thing.
Yes.
Sorry. If you guys could answer that. It's a rating on the time you've invested with me today. 5 being perfect, 1 not being perfect. Give me a number. I didn't manage to do that on slido.com, so just tap it over there. And if you think of anything that I could improve or that I could change, I'll put it up there as well.
There's a first
Thank you,
5 stars
Annie.
and another one.
Thank you, guys. Man, I'm humbled. Thank you very much.
I give 5 too.
Thank you, guys.
Only 5 stars then. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Really, really, it really, I'm humbled. Thanks a lot.
thank you for your time, and indeed it was really interesting. Thank you so much once again, and thank you everyone. Thank you to everyone who was able to join, and you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram to be aware of our next webinars. And in case you missed the other webinars, you can still watch Mr. Talks on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and have a nice evening.
Bye, guys. Thank you again for being here. Thanks, Rita, for facilitating. You were a gem.
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you.